The cameras were rolling. The crowd leaned in, waiting for another political showdown. And then the insult came, sharp, dismissive, and dripping with contempt. Former President Donald Trump threw out the phrase "woke trash" in a desperate attempt to belittle Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. But what happened next wasn't what he, or anyone watching, expected. Because Crockett didn't just sit there and take it. She rose to the moment, her response cutting through the noise. Like a thunderclap, what unfolded in those next few seconds turned the entire exchange upside down and left millions stunned across America. Jasmine Crockett has never been one to back down. Representing Texas, she has built her reputation on fiery determination, unapologetic truth-telling, and a sharp wit that slices through political grandstanding. For months, she had endured insults, attacks, and thinly veiled attempts to discredit her voice, but every attack only seemed to sharpen her resolve. On the other side stood Donald Trump, a figure whose influence still looms over the political landscape. Known for his brash language, insults, and unfiltered bravado, he has often weaponized words to demean and silence his critics. This time, his target was Crockett. The phrase "woke trash" wasn't just an insult aimed at her personally. It was meant to dismiss an entire movement, a whole generation of voices demanding justice, equality, and accountability. The stage was set on live television, where millions tuned in not just for politics, but for spectacle. The lights, the cameras, and the relentless pressure created a crucible where reputations could be forged or destroyed in seconds. When Trump unleashed the insult, some in the audience laughed, others gasped, and for a brief moment it seemed like another scene in the long-running saga of America's culture wars. But what happened next would turn that fleeting insult into a moment etched in the memory of everyone watching. Crockett didn't rush to respond. Instead, she let the weight of silence hang in the air. That silence spoke louder than the insult itself. Her expression was calm, measured, and unshaken, a stark contrast to Trump's usual bombast. Viewers leaned in, wondering, would she deflect, ignore, or lash out? Instead, Crockett did something entirely different. She reframed the moment. Her voice carried authority, not just anger. She reminded the nation of the long history behind dismissive language, the way women of color, especially black women, have been branded with stereotypes meant to diminish their worth. She painted the insult not as a personal attack, but as a reflection of something deeper, the desperation of those who feel their power slipping away. In that instant, Crockett became more than a congresswoman defending herself. She became a symbol of resistance against the politics of division. Her words didn't just target Trump, they resonated with everyone who had ever been labeled, dismissed, or dehumanized. Social media erupted. Hashtags lit up. Clips spread across platforms faster than wildfire. Commentators debated whether this was Crockett's defining political moment. For supporters, it was a rallying cry, a reminder that dignity and strength could triumph over cruelty and mockery. But the rising action wasn't just about Crockett's words. It was about the reaction. Some in the audience shifted uncomfortably, realizing the weight of what had just been said. Others who expected an easy punchline from Trump suddenly found themselves staring at a mirror held up to America's divisions. The insult that was supposed to belittle her ended up amplifying. Her voice, the energy in the room shifted. Trump, usually confident and unshaken, appeared rattled. His smirk faded as Crockett's words echoed with undeniable power. The live audience, once caught between laughter and shock, now leaned heavily toward her side. The moment had crystallized. One woman standing tall against a torrent of ridicule, transforming an insult into a weapon of truth. Crockett's clapback wasn't just about silencing Trump. It was about reclaiming the narrative. For years, marginalized voices had been told they were too loud, too sensitive, or too radical. Crockett turned those labels upside down. By the end of her response, she had shifted the battlefield entirely. What began as Trump's attempt to dominate the stage ended with him looking small, reduced, and uncharacteristically quiet. The cameras captured it all, the silence, the unease, and the undeniable power shift. Crockett had taken the insult meant to demean her and transformed it into a defining stand: live before the nation. The clip didn't just end when the cameras stopped rolling. It lived on, replayed millions of times across news outlets, social media, and living rooms. For many, it was more than political theater. It was a symbol of justice, a moment where dignity triumphed over cruelty. Crockett's response became a rallying cry for those tired of seeing their struggles dismissed as woke. It reminded viewers that words, when wielded with courage and conviction, could dismantle even the most callous attempts at mockery. But beyond the applause and viral clips, the moment raised deeper questions. What does it say about the state of American politics when insults overshadow policy? What does it reveal about the resilience required of women of color in leadership? And how many more times will voices like Crockett's have to rise above before true equality is realized? As the dust settled, one thing was clear. Trump's insult had backfired spectacularly. Instead of silencing Jasmine Crockett, it amplified her voice and solidified her as a force to be reckoned with. And for those watching, the message was undeniable. Strength is not in the insult. It is in the clapback, in the resilience, and in the refusal to be diminished. So the next time someone tries to dismiss you as trash for standing up, for caring, or for demanding better, remember Jasmine Crockett's moment. Remember how an insult meant to silence became a spark that ignited a movement. Because sometimes instant karma isn't just a punishment, it's a revelation.